Introducing the Dove Adaptive Mounting Solutions Dove Red Dot Adapter Plate. And in this video, we're going to be mounting it on my HK P30L and taking it out to the range for zeroing, first shots, and durability testing. Stay with me. Guys, back here on the bench behind me, you can see, of course, my HK P30L. And for those of my fellow safety conscious guys at home, it is unloaded and clear. Now, ever since getting my P30L, I've always wanted to mount a dot on this particular pistol, and that in part coming from the fact that it is a long slide, and from the fact that I used to run a red dot on my HK-VP9 match back when I was competing. At the current time, there are no true production guns from HK that come with an optic mount. I do know Langdon is doing their modifications, like HK sends the guns to Langdon, Langdon does the optics cuts, and then they list them to sale. But those ones are like, I think, starting at about $1,300 to $1,400. And even to send this particular pistol here into Langdon, to have them optics cut it, is, I think, $380 is the starting point. So, quite honestly, a little bit out of budget right now, particularly because you have the $380, I think it is, plus shipping to send the pistol in for the slide cut. And you're buying into one particular optic pattern cut for basically all your optics from then on out. It's not an interchangeable plate system. I know Right Armory does the iDot, and they have interchangeable plates, but I think they're like 400 and something, so honestly, kind of up there as far as price goes. The P30 series is capable of incredibly good accuracy. I've been able to hit like 8-inch targets out to 100 plus yards with this particular one. However, with irons, it takes a good bit of focus and concentration, something that by throwing a dot on here, you wouldn't necessarily have that issue. And for the YouTube manual viewer who is most likely going to be watching this video, I have specifically tailored this video to be in compliance with all of YouTube's currently community guidelines and policies. All filming both here in the shop and out on the range is going to be done on a private range by myself, a trained individual. Introducing the Dove Adaptive Mounting Solutions Dove Red Dot Adapter Plate. And hopefully you guys are able to see this here in the lighting. Let's see if I can get a little bit better view. These guys are particularly made in the USA as well, and unlike some of the other red dot adapter plates on the market, are actually made out of stainless steel, and as you can see here, have a fairly thin profile. And of course, the little dovetail notch right in here basically replaces your rear sight, and it sits, if I can kind of just overlay it here, it sits like this in relation to the slide. So you actually have a backup iron sight that goes in front of where your dot's mounting, and then the dot sits further to the rear and basically right over the section that goes in your rear sight notch. Now, these guys do have threaded bosses, which stick up through the top here that your optic would sit down on, and a center screw that just threads down right here. I recommend using Loctite on this, but that's going to thread down and just engage with the slide in the center of your dovetail notch. Also included in the packaging, of course, you have a replacement front sight, and this is a narrow blade fiber optic style and does come with 2 fiber optic rods as well. And of course, optics mounting screws if you're not using the ones that come with your particular optic. And the hex key to tighten everything down. I believe that's also good for the center screw right there. And if we do a side-by-side view here, I'm just going to kind of rest that in the edge of the notch. You can see that does not stick very high, actually above that slide. So why would I want to run something like this? Well, for starters, I really don't feel like paying for the cost of having the slide machined. And on top of that, if I decide to actually go back to like a target style irons and not a dot, I don't want that slide permanently modified. And finding optics ready holsters for P30Ls is surprisingly difficult. So if I decide ultimately that I want to go back to irons, it's as simple as just drifting out the rear plate again, drifting the rear sight back in, and you're good to go. I came across the guys over at Dove Mounting Solutions probably a month or so ago, and up until that point, I did not realize they actually existed. Watched a couple videos on that particular product, some torture testing, and thought, hey, I have an HK P30L, and if it does really well, I might also mount over my P30SK. But I figured, hey, why not? I reached out to him and said, hey, were you guys willing to send one over for the channel? I'm going to mount it up, do some videos on it. and they're more than happy to send one over. So thanks to the guys over there for sponsoring us with the adapter kit for today's video. Now, if you are watching this video on YouTube, I cannot, of course, show the actual installation process here on YouTube. I'll just say it's the same as changing out a rear sight, essentially, and that the detailed instructions are provided from the manufacturer in this little informational sheet right here. So make sure to follow those instructions should you get one for yourself. If you're interested in actually watching the installation procedure, I will put a link, I hope this video is in the right orientation, either up here or over here, sometimes it reverses, to the link to my Utreon, now called Player, or my Rumble pages, where you can check out the actual installation procedure if you're interested. If you're watching here on YouTube, we're going to rejoin here after I get this actually installed, and you guys will see it taken out to the range, and we're going to get some zeroing done. Function check. And we're good to go. Guys, officially out here on the range today, and just got the irons, I guess, zeroed, air quotes. So the hits right up here on the head from between 15 and 20 yards are from holding the front sight level with the middle of the target. When I held on the bottom edge, these are the hits right here. And in relation to the target, the front sight's probably about as wide as my two fingers here, and probably about that tall. So you can see quite a bit of height shift, but windage-wise, we were pretty good. So I got the dot mounted, gonna go back here, I'm gonna repaint this target and get the dot zeroed. And to save time for you guys, I have omitted the actual zeroing procedure, basically the same as with any other red dot. One, maybe two adjustments at most was about all it took. Guys, we are officially zeroed. As you can see here, I was aiming for a couple different points on targets and run some drills, but I was able to very easily smack the bolt here from 20 yards. And of course you can see the amount of headshots. Next up, I'm going to stay back there at 20. I'm going to try to put 10 shots, just all in the head box, see how consistent it is. Of course, we're running the Dove Dot adapter plate. The camera's backwards, there we go. Running the Dove Dot adapter plate and the new O-Sight S. So I really like that dot enclosed, and RMSc, very small footprint, and it's doing great so far. I keep aiming to test it. So let's get this target painted, and we're gonna drop 10 in the head box. Alrighty guys, I got 10 shots here, and I'm going to do my best to keep them all on the head here at about 20 yards. I'm gonna dry fire, nice clean first shot here. There we go. Alright, going hot. And that was officially 10 shots. Walk down here. "25 yards, 10 out of 10 on the head, and that is just spalling from these guys clicking down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Alrighty guys, this wasn't planned for being in the video, but I just fired 5 shots from back there at 20 yards using the backup irons, and that one I pulled. But these 4 right here, my hold point, I had the sights level with the bottom edge of the target right here. So just be aware, if you're using the irons as your backup, to use a 6 o'clock hold. Run on the P30L. Dove Adaptive Solutions Dove Mounting Plate and the O-Sight S. We doubled it back from our previous distance. We were shooting at 20. We are officially now back here at 40 yards. Gonna see how we do. I'm gonna start off just by trying to see what our point of aim, point of impact is with the irons here at 40. I'm gonna hold 6 o'clock like I was on the last shots and see if I can get a hit on that plate. So it's left edge of the plate. That was center. Okay, so yeah, just beware if you're using these sights. These are zeroed for a 6 o'clock hold. All right, using the dot, I'm gonna try to drop one right in the center. I pulled a little low, that was on me. Maybe not. Yeah, I did. I stuck two consistently low left and that last one in the center. Not too bad. One more shot. Let's see if I can hit Headbox here at 40 yards. Headshot. Not terrible. I know I definitely need work on those single action shots. How about double action shot, center of the torso? Good clean double action shot. That was actually a pretty good hit. Got one more shot. Let's run this in double. Pulled that one a little low, still connected. I'm gonna try to run some double to single drills just to kind of get used to it and sight acquisition. Now let me see if I can run that with the irons. Torso head. Oh, over it. Head.
So now that we are officially back from the range, what are my final thoughts? And for all you guys at home, of course, we are again fully unloaded and clear. As far as the pistol itself, I did put 300 rounds through it while we were out at the range, 250 rounds of 124 grain plus P FMJ, as well as 50 rounds of 115 grain standard pressure. And throughout all of that, the dot adapter plate stayed nice and secure. Of course, no shifting left to right of any kind. Likewise on the dot, absolutely no shift in zero, even under, substantially decent recoil. And what I was most happy with, the glass and everything's nice and easy to clean. And we actually didn't get too much oil on the front lens, which is kind of nice. Now, as you guys would have seen from the video, I didn't do any kind of crazy bashing this thing off of random objects. In all honesty, HK P30L slides are kind of expensive. And I've seen videos in the past of guys actually cranking down adapter plates too tight and ending up actually cracking their slides, and then they're out between $400 or $500 just for a slide. So I didn't want to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to basically take and stomach the cost of should something go wrong. That being said, I of course did charge it off of the actual Optic itself, and it has held zero just fine. Now, I will say the one thing that did catch me off guard initially taking this out to the range when I first went to zero the irons, as you guys already saw, was that the irons require a 6 o'clock hold, which is something that I am not used to. I am used to a dead zero hold. Basically, the top of your front sight is exactly where you're going to hit. However, with this, you do have to aim a little lower. Now, I have not talked to the guys over at Dove Mounting Solutions about this. I am not sure if this is just a design of all their adapter plate and front sight combos, or if this is something unique to the P30. Now, the one thing I did notice, and let me see if I can get some backlight here for you guys. Hopefully you're able to see that right there. So of course you have the rear sight dovetail and the sight plate going into the dovetail. You have the flat surface here on the rear. And of course the plate is interfacing tight with the back flat section of the slide. and is nice and tight in the dovetail. However, there is a bit of light gap up here on the front. I'm not sure if this is intended to be this way or if this is a byproduct of how it's mounted in the dovetail, that this sight is actually sitting high, causing it to hit high in relation to the sights. Again, I have not talked to the guys over there about this, so I am genuinely not sure. However, knowing that the windage is pretty much spot on and that I just have to use a 6 o'clock hold is not the end of the world. This particular optic setup on the P30 series of slides is actually kind of nice, and I somewhat prefer it. I do like the profile of the RMSc pattern optic as compared to a larger window. This is actually fits really nice with the width of the slide, and that adapter plate, the entire optic does not sit that much higher over the slide than a traditional optic would. So good on the guys over there at Dove Mounting Solutions for doing such a thin profile plate for this style of application. Now, who would be the primary user for a plate system such as this to convert a dovetail mount over to a red dot mount? Well, it's for someone like me. In all honesty, I want to use this pistol for definitely stretching out to distance, as well as this one sits in a home defense role as well, and it works quite perfectly. It saves me the $380 to $400-ish cost of having the slide milled, and as of 300 rounds in so far, it's holding zero perfectly well, and I have no fears of it shearing off or shooting off into space. Now, if I were to be using this in a duty style application, not concealed carry, but specifically a duty application, yes, then I would absolutely spring for the extra cost of getting the optic direct mounted to the slide. One, it gets it lower, and two, it gives you the extra rigidity of having it actually cut into the slide and not relying on this back interface right here. I do believe these are offered to fit a bunch of different pistol style slides. I can roll in some footage of the webpage here of just what all these guys are offered in. But I do think it's really cool that they're offering them with both a front and the rear sight plate, so you aren't losing your co-witness iron sights by switching over to a plate system such as this. Also, although it does block on this O-Sight S, it does block the ambient light sensor, I prefer the backup iron sight to be in front of the dot. And while modern dots have come a long way, being able to charge off the face of the backup iron sight as opposed to having to one-hand charge off of your optic is definitely a good design choice, and I believe this is more than strong enough to be able to handle that. This also serves dual purpose as being to some extent a brass deflector. If you do happen to have a case that kicks back in towards this direction, it's not going to chip the glass on the front of your optic. Again, from the rear, nice integration with that slide there, nice profile over onto both sides, and in all honesty, I think it definitely fills out this pistol build quite well. Particularly when running a smaller optic such as this one, it does make it nice to be able to drive to those irons if you're coming up for a quick first shot. That way you're not fishing for that dot in any way. But if you're looking to stretch it out further, acquiring that dot and continuing the shot is quite easy and intuitive. More rounds to come through this guy in the future. You're going to absolutely see it on the channel more in drills in the days to come. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. If you're interested in watching the actual install procedure, be sure to check out the link to my other page here in the top right corner, where you'll be able to watch the full installation procedure as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe out there, keep on reloading, and give the guys over at Dove Mounting Solutions a look if you're interested in mounting an optic on your pistol and either can't afford to have the slide milled, or you just don't want to have the slide milled, like I do at this current time. Special shout out to those guys for sending this one out for test and evaluation. Looking forward to putting more rounds through it and keeping you guys updated in the future. Catch you later.